Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome commercial. Because doing well, because the guys are having a wonderful time on this um 22nd September 2025. Today we're talking about Resident Evil Zero. As you guys know, we did my first thought on it. I want to come back on it. Plus, if you stay, I'll make another video for it because it's kind of a big announcement. So um Resident Evil, my second thoughts. We played a game more. I gotta say, the first stream is disastrous. So the first stream, we lose patience and we just restart the game. We're playing on normal, so Resident Evil had a tendency to be a hard game. We redid the playthrough and normal. Why did we restart? Because there's so little inventory space, and there's so little thing that are available that you really do have to share everything in between. So what I'm trying to say here is we played a little bit more of the game. So my first thought was the game is great. The game is aged properly. The graphics are horrible, but the story is good. And I'm gonna be honest and say the graphics being that horrible is kind of nice. The zombie coming at you and you have to do the right angle is also super cool because they are very generous in the hitbox, but at the same time, it's kind of nerve wracking. It's like, okay, well, there's two enemies, and I don't know where to shoot, which is kind of funny. Also, negative. Inventory space is not a lot. It's 12, which is a lot. But then you realize that you have your gun, you have your ammos, which is four each, right? And then you have eight for every single item, which contains key item, which also contain herbs and shit like that. So quite nice. But the game in itself is super cool. And I gotta say, it's very scary. You see, for example, this is stupid, but it is the classic old time versus new time. Old time, it was so crappy that you really had to imagine the world, right? So, for example, Resident Evil, you imagine that you're stuck in this train, and out of the train, there's a lot of things that's going on that are not good, which is kind of nice because you're like, wow, um, what would I do? Right? I'm not gonna be able to survive here. Nobody's looking for me here, so I'm supposed to be there, you know. And of course, the main character being Rebecca, you're literally with a criminal that could backstab you at every single seconds, but you don't have a choice because alone you won't be able to survive, right? And you know that the only reason he's helping you is because he wants to survive also. So it is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. I gotta say the bosses are super nice. The two bosses, and not a while. It is super sad because in 45 minutes today we did more than we did last time in an hour and a half. And Resident Evil Zero, like other than Resident Evil, maybe not the seven or the eight. The seven or the eight are pretty self-explanatory, and the fourth is also pretty self-explanatory. But the zero, you really have to do puzzle. Okay, well, I found this item. Where can I use this item? For example, I found an ice pick, right? And I was like, okay, well, where can we use it, right? We found gasoline. And like, okay, well, there's possibly a flamethrower. There's possibly something else. No, you use it for Molotov cocktail. Right now we're trying to get the hook shot because the hook shot's gonna be useful. But until we get the hook shot, I'm like, fuck, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And it's kind of cool because your what do I call it? Your inventory is kind of limited. And what is the best thing about the game is the first time you go in a room, there's no zombie. The second time you go in a room, there's no zombie. The third time you go in that same room, there's a zombie. And like, what the heck? There wasn't anyone before. But the game give you a chance. Like, hey, if you use this, if you walk too much here, you'll be in trouble. If you don't, if you're efficient, there won't be trouble. Resident Evil Zero as a start for the marathon. So this is a marathon. We got a surprise after that. I'll do a video, but I'll do an announcement after this video. A small one. So with Resident Evil Zero, it's as a marathon, it is extremely different, you know. So when you think about marathon, you think about game that have a lot. For example, Final Fantasy, right? And you play a direct upgrade. For example, you look at the first one, you look at the sixth one, very different. Seventh is insanely different than every single other game, but is it a lot different from six? No, it's a lot of the same concept explored, right? So, with Resident Evil at the start of this, it's probably very chaotic, but at the same time, I haven't played, and this is kind of missing. So this is a funny thing. I was watching Charlie's Penguin, and yesterday, even though we started the marathon like 3 days ago, it was like, hey, ranking the all the 29 game of Resident Evil. The 29th game. We have two, we have three, we have four, we have four, which is six. We have five, we have seven, we have six, which is eight. We have, and that's it, right? We have 8 out of the 29, so that's nothing. But at the same time, it's such a cool marathon to do. Now, the announcement, I got a really good ID, and this ID is not mine. This ID is Timbo. Timbo, which is a new friend on YouTube and on TikTok. Actually, a funny story. He added me on YouTube, and then he added me on TikTok. He was talking to me on TikTok. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I didn't make a connection between him on TikTok and him on YouTube. So the question that he asked me was, "Are you going to be watching the Resident Evil movie?" And I gotta be completely honest, I didn't even think about it because the marathon was more so for the gaming channel, right? But it's such a great idea. For example, it is such a great idea. I'm gonna die here. It is such a great idea because there are movies Resident Evil, and ultimately speaking, what you're thinking about is the three Resident Evil movie in real life, but you're also thinking about the anime. There's a Vendetta. There's a lot of them, and that could be super cool. Now, why is that important? Because we have to do. It is kind of cool because what you would do is, for example, right, with Resident Evil, we'll do another show. For example, we also have a game of Demon Slayer. With Demon Slayer, we have a game of 5 hours, which is 5 hours of gameplay, but also we have a full series to recap. So yes, the full series to recap is huge versus a smaller game. The next marathon we're gonna be doing is Atelier Risa. Atelier Risa, there's an anime that I didn't know, so it could be a nice segue in between. So we'll see how it goes. I'm thinking it's gonna be a super good idea. Thank you, Timbo, for the idea. And it's nuts because this is also a link, and this is kind of promoting a channel, but also promoting the others. For example, you see on the main channel, you see Spooktober 2025 episode 2, which is one movie. You see another game. You see episode number 4, which is another movie. And like, okay, well, where are the other parts? And like, okay, well, you have to go to the other channel versus a game like, and I'm thinking about Demon Slayer because it's the perfect opposite. You look at Demon Slayer and you look at one part on, on the gaming channel, but you look at 5 parts because every single season, every single movie of Demon Slayer. So this is kind of complex. It's kind of different. So anyway, but then it makes games like G-Star impossible because G-Star, you have Fist of the North Star. We got Naruto. We got Bleach. We got One Piece. We got Yu-Gi-Oh. So it wouldn't be possible. But hey, it makes you dream, right? Which is pretty cool, and I love that. So here's the announcement.